Hi everyone. As if I didn't have enough to be getting on with already, I've decided to jump in on this Saga Age of Magic challenge that Little Legions and Leon T66 have started. I don't normally participate in challenges because I feel like my whole life is one big painting challenge. But by coincidence, I was looking at a range of figures on Kickstarter, STL files, recently, and they kind of captivated me, really. And I wanted to print some of them out anyway and start playing with them. And they're basically fantasy figures, but the reason I looked at the STL files to begin with was that I was searching for scenery files that I could use for sort of desert-themed games like my Beaugest Foreign Legion project, and I came across these files, and I got them through a late pledge. They're about a year old now, so it worked out quite well. So I got them immediately. Just had to pay for them, and they're called the Empire of Scorching Sands. Now, as I say, my first interest in them was to get the scenery items, because they have lots of sort of oases and desert rocks and all that kind of thing, and sort of oriental looking buildings, but the buildings are a bit kind of fantasy, looking. They're a bit whimsical, so I'm not so interested in those. But as I say, I fell in love with the figures because they're based around a kind of an Arabian Nights type of theme, and I've never seen that portrayed in fantasy games before. So I've started reading the Arabian Nights, the kind of Baudelarized version with all the naughty bits taken out, but I've sent off for the Richard Burton interpretation, which puts all the sex back into it. Yeah, so they're really lovely figures. What you're looking at the moment is a fire djinn. There's basically kind of two factions in the collection. There's ones that have this sort of Arabian Nights theme, and the other, it's still an Arabian Nights theme, but it's sort of centred more around Egypt and Cairo, so it's got a lot more ancient Egyptian kind of theme to it, and that attracted me to the files as well, incidentally. That I thought some of them are ideal, tombs and obelisks and things like that. It's ideal for my 15mm New Kingdom Egyptians, but that's sort of by the by. So I'm starting off with because I haven't got the Age of Magic rulebook yet. I was looking at it. This is all before Little Legions began this. I was looking at Age of Magic, but thought I would start off with a set of rules that I've got already, Dragon Rampant, which is like the fantasy version of Lion Rampant. So I was planning to print out enough figures for a game of Dragon Rampant, using the Egyptian sort of characters on one side and the more Persian and Iraqi sort of, Caliph of Baghdad and, more traditional Arabian Nights setting for the other side. So the one difficulty with it is that there are sort of individual human characters in it. So, for instance, these two guys here are Palace Guard. Now, there are three Palace Guard in total. One of them has got a a bow, and the other two have got these more sort of melee type weapons. But there aren't sufficient groups of figures to make up even a excuse me, a band of 6. So that's not a problem in Dragon Rampant, because you can just call the unit, give the unit a value of 6 points or 12 points or whatever. You don't have to have a certain number of figures in the unit. So I'm not sure how that works in Age of Magic. Get around it some way. The other issue is that these are all very large. They're larger than 28 mil, more like 32 mil. Excuse me. But again, because I'm probably only going to be playing on my own, then it's not going to be an issue. And this is another reason why I went for Dragon Rampant initially, is that it's a much easier game to play solo. You can't really play Saga solo, but anyway, it's just to sort of join in the kind of the community bit, and can't promise I'm going to get things finished by August because of everything else I've got on my plate and the speed I paint at. So what I'm thinking at the moment in terms of Dragon Rampant is to start off trying to get a fighting force for Dragon Rampant, and then get the Age of Magic rulebook in May when I can afford it, and then see if I can build up a 8-point warband using that on the using the foundation of the Dragon Rampant warband that I'm accumulating. So I was going to have a unit of in Dragon Rampant, these would be elite foot, and there's only going to be 2 of them, so they're going to have to be worth 3 points each. And then the leader is going to go with them. So the leader is this figure, who is a sultan. The other nice thing about this range is that you can print them out either based or unbased, and it solves the whole problem about putting them onto an appropriate base. These figures are all they've all got this sort of tiled flooring with Oriental. Don't know if you can see that. Oriental designs and things on the flooring. Then there's another group. These guys are Marauders. Now there are actually 3 of these. The big one is called the Brute, and there are 2 others, but one of them, his particular print didn't come out, so I'm going to have to try and reprint that. So they're going to be Lightfoot, I believe. Yeah, I'm going to make them Lightfoot. So they're only worth 3 points, so they're quite cheap, and then I'm going to give them the offensive ability, making them up to 5 points. So I've just got to get one more figure printed up. Then I was going to have that fire djinn, but I have got a load of other djinns that I could add in. This is the earth djinn, who's throwing some kind of boulder, and his arm is a separate print, so I'm going to have to glue that on later. So he's missing his right arm at the moment, but he's going to turn out to be quite a nice figure. Or if I change my mind again, I can swap that out for one of the other djinns. So this guy is the wind djinn, so he's sort of emerging in a cloud out of the ground. And obviously I can sort of play around with the spells and things that they're going to be able to cast. And the only other kind of fantastical figure printed out at the moment is the water djinn, who's a bit of a sort of busty female type figure, and she's kind of emerging out of the waves. But they're all, they're all really interesting figures to paint up. Haven't got any, there's hundreds of creatures in these files, and this is the only figures that I printed out so far. But they're all kinds of sphinxes and wyverns and giant scorpions and swarms of beetles and all kinds of things. But you very swiftly sort of run out of points to spend, so I'm not going to be able to use them all anyway. So I have actually got printed up enough to make a 24-point warband for Dragon Rampant. Now these guys that you're looking at the moment, what are they? They're called... Oh no, I've shown you them already, haven't I? Sorry, beg your pardon. They're the Marauders. The only other one that I'm intending to use in my warband currently is a little cheap one, who's a desert rat. So he's like a street urchin wandering along, carrying some loaves of bread. But he, in Dragon Rampant, he will be ideal to use as a scout, because the scouts are meant to be very nimble and to be able to sort of flit about and conceal themselves. And I can give him missiles, even though he's carrying a couple of loaves of bread that he's probably stolen and he's running off with them. I can give him a missile ability, because you're allowed to give the characters magical missile weapons, so he will be able to cast spells. So initially he starts off only costing you 2 points, but then if I give him an enchanted weapon for 1 point, and puts him up to 3 points, so he's a nice sort of cheap little figure to make up the points in the warband. So what I've shown you there already is well over 24 points. Each one of the djinn, if you just bump them up a little bit with a few abilities, each one of those is 10 points. So I'd only be able to incorporate one probably in a warband. But as I say, there are plenty of other creatures and so on that I can print up. A lot of civilian type characters that I won't probably incorporate into the army. So these are two old men. One is a wise old man. The guy sitting down with his scrolls and things is a wise old man, and the standing up one I think is just referred to as an old man. Got a travelling merchant who is quite a common character in the stories of the Arabian Nights. So you could use him just as a civilian, or he could become a magician or something, incognito, travelling as a merchant. But as I say, I was really taken with these figures. Oh, I'm just going to pause the camera a minute. No, I'll do that. I'll do that in a second. I'll just show you the rest of the ones I've got upstairs here. Now this guy here, he is a desert rogue, so I think he's meant to be more, I don't know, could use him as either, but maybe he's more suited for the Egyptian themed force when I get around to printing that out. That tends to have, I think I said, lots of undead mummies, so it would be a good undead army, sort of mummies and mummy lords, but the creatures are all amazing. Sphinxes and swarms of beetles, all that kind of thing. There's a couple of women characters, sort of market characters, a woman carrying a water pitcher and another woman with a child. This is the other palace guard, who I won't be able to mix up with the other two, who's armed with a bow. And then there's Vizier. So I'm just going to turn the camera off for a second and go downstairs and show you a couple of bits of scenery that I've printed up from these files. just as an aside. Right, now it's difficult to get all this in frame, but this is something that I actually printed out to use in my 15mm wargaming, my New Kingdom Egyptian army. It's a tomb facade, tomb front, and what I did was reduce it down in size so it fits on a, I think it's 120mm wide base, which is the size that you need to represent your camp in Field of Glory and other DBX type wall sets. So I thought it would be perfect for my New Kingdom Egyptian camp. As it comes around again, I'll just describe the... So there are 4 gods there. One of them's definitely Anubis. I think I can... I'm not sure who the others are. Some of them maybe just pharaonic kind of looking statues. So that's going to come in handy for that. Just thought I'd print that out to have it ready to paint up one day, and then also might put on the stand a couple of obelisks. Again, it's not easy to get them in. These, so that I've reduced these down so that they're more sort of suitable for 15mm wargaming, and they printed up a little bit kind of poorly. I don't think those kind of indentations and things are deliberate, but it makes them look as though they're a little bit kind of worn and weathered, so not a problem at all as far as I'm concerned. So they're going to be ideal for ancient wargaming as well. But anyway, as I say, that's by the by. The main thing is to say, sort of count me in with this challenge, and I'm going to start getting this army together as soon as I can. In the meantime though, tomorrow it's going to be another video on the subject of another project that I just started. So I really have got my hands full. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.